Okay, let's go to the next tutorial. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is look at just the women in the data set. So they say find the highest fare paid by women. So they said in the last tutorial we learned how to import the data into the RapidMiner repository, which they call the central storage for all your data and your models and processes. In this tutorial we will apply a filter to the Titanic data to look at only female passengers. Then we can easily sort the data to find the highest ticket fares paid by women. You can then also do this with the men, and they ask, do you think there may be a difference between the highest fare paid by men and the highest fare paid by women? So here we're going to use one of RapidMiner's filters. So let's click Next. So again, we're going to take the same data, and we've already imported it, so it's here. And we're just going to drag it onto the so-called process panel. So let's do that. And we'll put it here since they have a spot for it. Now that's, by the way, these are here for us, but they don't typically exist when you're building your own models. There's no sort of pre-described model that you're using, although actually in RapidMiner they do have many pre-described models, but you may not be using those for your particular data. So you wouldn't have these dotted lines here and so on. You just have a blank panel here. Okay, let's read the explanation. In RapidMiner, rows are called examples. So we'll use that terminology sometimes. We'll call the rows of our data set the examples. And data tables are called example sets. So the whole spreadsheet, or one tab of the spreadsheet, would be called an example set. You'll find these terms throughout RapidMiner, so it's worth learning them right away. So examples is standard terminology to refer to the rows of the data. And example sets just means a set of the examples, so that could be the spreadsheet. So remember that we're trying to find the highest fare paid for women. So they say there are many ways to do that. In this tutorial, you will remove men from the table, and they call that filter examples out of the example set, because the example set is the entire data set, and we're going to take some of the examples out of it. We're going to take the men out of it. So we'll only be left with the women. Okay, let's go on. So we can say that we only want examples or rows that meet the defined filter criteria. So the filter criteria in this case is just, we just want women, but we might want to filter based on some other criteria. But here it's we just want women. So all other examples will be removed. So again, we look through the operators. So let's go back here and here. And they say search for the filter examples operator using the search box at the top of the operator panel. So you can search for operators here. Now we might just look here and see if we could guess where it might be. So it could be in cleansing, maybe not though. Could be in blending, might be in utilities. But anyway, okay, let's try and do it. So let's search for the filter examples. Okay, so here it is. And we're going to drag that onto the screen as well, onto the process panel as well. So let's put it, again, you don't have to put it here. You can put it here, you can put it basically anywhere, but we'll put it there. Okay, now we have to connect the output port from here with the input port for here. So this is the input port. So we click here and then click here. Okay, so the name of this operator is called filter examples, and there are many things that we could many ways that we could filter. And here you can see there's a little picture of a filter. And so they say click the filter examples to select it, and then click Add Filters in the Parameters panel to define a filter. So over here, we can see the Parameters panel. Now, if we had clicked over here, yeah, we can still see it here. Yeah. So here we click on this one, and we have the filter examples, and this is the Parameters panel. And next, we want to click the Add Filters there to define a panel. So here we have it. So we can see what's in here. So we can see that what's in here is all the different column names, or all the different variable names. So we have survived, we have passenger class, we have name, sex, age, and all these other variables or columns that were in the Excel file or in our data set. We can call them variables. So anyway, the one that we want is the gender, the sex one. So they say select sex on the left and equals here, and type is female. I'm sorry, type, or yeah, so here is female. Okay. So we could have typed female, but if we click on that, it gives us the different possible values of the sex variable. So they say you can click on the magic wand and select female from the list. Okay. And then click OK. Okay, whenever you add an operator to your process, you should immediately connect it. Remember that data flows between operators, and so an operator's connection can influence its parameters. For example, how could this filter know about the column sex if it's not connected to the data source? So if we hadn't connected this here, and we tried filter, we tried to click on this and look at the parameters, they're saying that it wouldn't know what the parameters should be because it's not connected to the data yet. But we did connect it to the data, so it does know what the variables are, and so we can select from the different possible variables, and we selected the sex variable. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so next thing is search for the sort operator. So we can use the search feature here. So sort, and we have sort, and drag it here, and then they say connect it. So we want to connect it here and here. Okay, now we want to use this sorting, and we can choose the options for this in the parameters panel. So they say set the attribute name, this thing here, the attribute name, set the attribute name to passenger fare. Okay, so why are we doing that? Because we're trying to sort on the passenger fare, right? We want to find the highest fare, and we only have the women here, so we're going to find the highest fare for women. So anyway, we want to sort on that variable. So we need to find passenger fare here, and then we just choose the sorting direction. So we could choose increasing or decreasing, and they say choose decreasing. So it goes from greatest to least. And then connect the sort output port to the result port. So we want to click from here to here. Okay, and now we can run the process. And so now hopefully we only have females in our data here, and so you can check, make sure that all of them are female. And then we can look at the passenger fare, which is here, passenger fare. And we can see that the highest passenger fare was $5.12. So then we could do something very similar for the males, and then we could answer a question, was the highest passenger fare higher for women, or was it higher for men? Okay, let's read the explanation. Most operators, let's go back to our design here. Most operators have settings which define how the operators are working. You can find those on the right side of the parameters panel. So each of these operators might have some settings that you can adjust, and those are in this so-called parameters panel. After you've selected an operator with a click, so if you want to change the parameters for this one, you should click on here. If you want to change the parameters for this one, you should click on here. If you want to change the parameters for this one, you should click on here. Okay, let's ignore that. Okay, let's keep going. So 5 out of 5, congratulations, well done. You can now see the highest fare paid for women on the Titanic. It's the first value in the column called passenger fare. Can you change the process to see the highest fare paid by a man? Is it different than that, than the highest fare paid by the women? So how could we change that? So we could click on here because we want to adjust this one, and we could click on here, and here we had sex equals female, but we could do sex equals male, and click OK, and then we could run it again. So what was the other number? It was 512, and let's check here and run it again. And now scroll over, this is all males, and we can see that the highest was also 512. This one was missing, but this one was 512. So it was the same for both men and women. Okay, now this kind of filtering you could easily do in Excel. You wouldn't need RapidMiner to do it, but sometimes you don't want to switch to Excel to explore your data. You want to do everything within RapidMiner, and once you get used to using RapidMiner, it might be just as easy or even easier to stay within RapidMiner. But of course, if you wanted to do this in Excel, you could easily do it. You just click on the data and go to data here and filter and choose just female, for example, is what we did first. And then you can sort here based on the passenger fare and largest to smallest. You get the same result that we saw, 512 here. Okay, so you could easily do this kind of thing in Excel, and you can also do this in Weka. Let's try it in Weka. So let's save this data in another format that Weka will be able to handle more easily. So let's unfilter. Where was it here? Let's select all. Okay, and actually we can just get rid of the filters. And let's save this file as a CSV file. So I'll save it, I'll call it Titanic Plus Data in the Downloads folder, and I've chosen CSV as the type of data I want to save it as. So I'll do that, and then let's try and do this in Weka. So I'm opening up Weka, and we'll do it from here. We could do it from the knowledge flow. I'm going to do it from here. And I will try to find that file, which was in my the downloads folder. So and I need to say here that I'm looking for CSV files. And there it is. Okay, so Weka is not so friendly. And Weka says that there's a problem encountered on line 20. So just to see what kind of issues you might face with Weka, let's open this file up. And I'm going to use a text editor to open it up. I'm not going to use Excel to open it up because we won't really be able to see the problem. But if we use a text editor, we might be able to see the problem. So I use a text editor here called Notepad++. So let's try and open up that same file using Notepad++ to see if we can figure out what the problem is here. Now there's another way to get around this, and that is we can get a special package in Weka that allows us to open up Excel files. So that would probably eliminate this error. But let's just see what happens here.